LEX 18 News.
The Commonwealth preparing to get slammed with some ice later today, and that might cause some hazardous conditions on our roads as well as power outages. We're going to be across the Bluegrass to give you a front row seat to how the roads are looking as the ice storm 2022 inches closer to our area. This is LEX 18 News at noon, and it starts right now. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dia Davidson.
And I'm Chris Goodman, and we are tracking the incoming ice storm.
Yes, we sure are, and we are able to follow the storms right along with us here. Use the QR code in the corner of your screen. It's key. Just point your smartphone or tablet right over it, and you can download the LEX 18 News app or the Storm Tracker weather app, totally free.
And we are also anticipating the rain to turn to freezing rain later this afternoon.
We sure are. So for the very latest, let's check in with meteorologist Tom Ackerman for what's happening right now. Tom?
Yeah, and I was just responding to a viewer about that app on Facebook. I was worried about the interface there, how you can toggle stuff on and off. Got a lot of options, and sometimes you need a little help working through it, but download that for free. We are waiting on the ice, as I said we would, and it's been a long wait. All through the morning, it has been raining, and it's been raining, and it's been raining, and the ice is set up primarily up over northern Kentucky. Look at that. It's 29 in Covington. It's 54 down south in Williamsburg. There's Arctic air that is slowly edging its way in here. 34 in Frankfort. Now, we are down to freezing in Lexington, and another viewer via social media up around Georgetown said they've had some light ice setting up already. And yeah, there are some pockets of slightly colder air mixed in with folks that are above freezing where you could see some light icing, but most of the activity so far has been along the Ohio River in north and west. This is the 32-degree line. It shows you where the temperature is at, 32 degrees at the surface. So that's basically the leading edge of that colder air coming in. So what we're seeing here is just gradual encroachment of that colder air, and that'll be the trend. It'll just continue to ever so slowly sag in here, and as it does so, that precipitation is going to slowly work its way in. You can see some of that pink that we've got back to the northwest, and as well snow farther northwest, and that rain that just continues to stream in. So timing-wise, it's delayed a little bit, the onset of it. We will see precipitation slowly changing over to freezing rain. And it'll continue through the afternoon. Now, the good news is we got a delayed onset. That means we'll get more moisture move through here that isn't ice, which will help trim down some of those totals a little bit. But even into the overnight hours, we're going to transition over, as it gets colder, to snow and some potentially sleet mixed in with some light freezing precipitation. So that rain changing to ice Thursday, well, it's going to be a gradual progression through the afternoon. My big concern remains travel hazards, the potential to impacts to the roads, and then the deep freeze that will follow. We'll break down the details coming up in your Storm Tracker forecast.
All righty, Tom, thanks so very much. Well, people in the Lexington area bracing for this storm.
Yeah, LEX 18's Lee Searcy is live downtown right now with what preparations are underway here in the city after a morning news conference. Lee.
Well, good afternoon. Of course, many are waiting to see just how prepared the city of Lexington is going to be for this big whopper of an ice storm that's on the way. Earlier today, we heard from the mayor, from police to fire to emergency management, and they all said we are as ready as we can be. Here are some of the highlights of that news conference. Starting today, city road crews will work 12-hour shifts through Saturday. KU says it has 600 personnel ready to tackle power outages. Emergency management says warming shelters are lined up for those without power for long periods of time. And many of you remember this, for all of you stuck on the interstate for hours and hours the last big storm, Police Chief Lawrence Weathers says better plans are in place to close roads and exits if need be.
What we're prepared to do is we'll have people monitoring the interstate, and if we see something like that start to happen, we'll probably have to close some ramps if they're really bad, and then we'll have to start rerouting traffic, and we'll work with our people on the north and south ends in Richmond and in Georgetown to help facilitate that. So hopefully we won't, but we don't know how fast and how quickly some of this stuff is going to happen. So we'll just be ready when it happens.
So So city officials are certainly asking for everyone's patience. They say they could use a little grace, that they know that this is going to be one whopper of an ice storm. And again, they say they are prepared as they can be. And they, like everyone is saying, if you don't have to go out, please stay home and stay off the roads. Live in Lexington, back to you in the studio.
And still just rain, no ice in Frankfurt yet. Let's take a look at conditions there.
And that's where we find LEX 18's Christiana Ford. She joins us now live at the East-West Connector. Christiana?
Cold and very rainy morning so far. It has been so rainy. The rain has just not let up, but we are at the East-West Connector at US 127, and it's a spot where so many people told me today that they were worried about, particularly because a lot of people travel this area, and there is a lot of hills in this city. There's a lot of hills, and there's also a lot of bridges. So we talked to several people who tell us the steep slopes or the hills are where they're worried about wrecks. We're not seeing any ice yet, but we know it's coming. And the several people we talked to at stores today, they also know it's coming. And we saw them preparing for that. One guy we talked to told us it's a privilege to stay home that he wishes he had. He works at a gas station and he needs the money to feed his family. So he says he'll be braving the elements.
It's those people that we need to make sure have an easier time out there, and that's why we need to stay home, so that those people who have that option or don't have that option stay safe.
It's about 34 degrees right now in Frankfurt, according to the LEX 18 weather app, but it says that it's supposed to get to freezing temperatures around 2 o'clock, so we will stick around and keep you updated on the latest condition. Right now, we're going to send it over to Michael Burke in Georgetown.
All right, thanks very much, Christiana. Right now here in Scott County, it really just feels like an early spring, lousy, rainy day. But as we know, that is about to change drastically in just a couple of hours, if not sooner than that. Now, with Scott County and Georgetown being mostly north and west of Lexington, that change over to ice could come a little sooner rather than later. And, of course, this area of the state will not be without its challenges when it comes to the roads, given many are rural roads, narrow, and on somewhat steep grades. County Judge Executive Joe Pat Covington is sending everyone home from the government offices early today, and then it's just a matter of quarterbacking his county's emergency personnel. One of those operations will include getting people to warming stations. Should we have power loss on top of ice, people who are homebound with no heat might need some help getting to where it's warm.
If in case we need warming shelters, we have one in Sadieville, one in Georgetown, one in Stamping Ground as well, prepared. We've communicated that through social media, just trying to plan for the worst and hope for the best.
I've got a great supply of salt left, and thanks to our new salt barn, it holds 5,000 ton, and we're good on all that, and we'll deal with this one as it comes.
That was, of course, J.R. Brandenburg from the County Roads Department here in Scott County. J.R. said patience. It will be a virtue here because, again, once we get to about 15 degrees or lower, that rock salt is rendered somewhat useless. So they will need their time to get to your road. So, again, be patient. And if you need assistance from emergency management personnel, again, they stress be patient as they work their way to you. Live in Scott County, I'm Michael Burke, LEX 18 News. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
Michael, thank you. The governor has declared a state of emergency ahead of this impending ice storm. This puts in place Kentucky National Guardsmen and Kentucky State Police troopers who will be posted along major interstates so they can quickly be deployed. The governor reiterated that the amount of ice predicted could cause power outages. He's urging Kentuckians not to drive, and anyone who must needs to have emergency supplies in their vehicles. State office buildings are closed today. There are dozens of closures and delays now scrolling at the bottom of your screen because of the winter weather moving in today. Here in Lexington, Fayette County Public Schools are using an NTI day today. All city offices are closed, along with the Lexington Lexington Senior Center. Waste collection has been canceled today. The Office of Homelessness Prevention and Intervention has activated its cold weather community response plan through Monday morning.
Well, Transportation Secretary Jim Gray has issued an official order to speed relief to areas that will be hit the hardest by this storm system. It temporarily lifts restrictions on commercial drivers involved in restoring power, removing debris, and delivering fuel. Now, the order is effective through 12:01 a.m. February 15th. It helps to relieve the requirements for commercial drivers from maximum driving times, as well as having to make way station stops and providing help to affected areas. The order also authorizes the Transportation Cabinet's Department of Vehicle Regulation to waive permit fees for overweight, overdimensional vehicles.
Transportation Cabinet crews have been readying equipment, including trucks for plowing and salting routes. In addition, chain and pole saws, along with other safety equipment, will be used if needed. KSP officials are offering these highway safety reminders: follow speed limits and reduce speeds, wear your seatbelt, never drive under the influence, maintain a safe distance, keep right except to pass, move over and slow down for stopped vehicles, and use your headlights and turn signals. And LEX 18 is dedicated to bringing you the latest on this winter storm. You can track the latest with us on air or by downloading the free Storm Tracker weather app for your smartphone or tablet.
And that's why the QR code is still in the screen, so use that.
You can just click your phone right there. And we are in for a bit of a rough night with freezing rain, sleet, and snow, all expected into tomorrow.
Oh boy, Storm Tracker meteorologist Tom Ackerman tracking it all for you in his full forecast. That's next. But first, for our lottery players, Kentucky Mega Millions jackpot, $22 million. Kentucky Powerball jackpot sits at $137 million. Got to play to win. Back in 2.
I was sitting at the red light, and this guy's looking at his phone. Bam! He rear ends me. I called the Kentucky Courage Lawyers at 800-55-WILDCAT.
Call 800-55-WILDCAT. Morgan, Collins, Yeast, and Salyer.
At P-Rats, the more you buy, the more you save. And now, buy any $9.99 or more qualifying Beauty Rest or Certi-Perfect Sleeper mattress sets. Get a free power base upgrade with head and foot comfort adjustment. Plus, get a free sleep bundle with 2 pillows, protector, and sheet set valued at $3.99. And get free delivery starting at just $20 a month with 6 years financing. Doorbuster Ashley Twin Fuller Queen Mattress. Take it home today, $199. Because nobody beats P-Rats.
In Hollywood, big truck wrecks can look devastating, but the cast and crew get to walk away unharmed. In real life, big truck wrecks can leave real families devastated. That's why I'm here to stand up to big trucks and their big insurance company. Like you see in the movies, what I just did wasn't real. But what is real? At Isaacs & Isaacs, we've recovered over $1 billion for our clients, and we're ready to fight for you.
Guys, it's cold outside.
And when your heat is on, your money's gone.
Keep the outside outside.
And the inside inside.
With precision engineered windows from the Window Source.
Stay toasty.
And say goodbye to high utility bills.
You can get a price right now at windowsourceofkentucky.com.
Super efficient windows
that won't break the bank.
Harborview Health, where your health and well-being is always our #1 priority.
It is really a good place to be.
The nurses here are just super good ladies. They make you feel like you're wanted, that you're part of them. It's a very nice place. I enjoy it.
I also like the beauty shop. Straightens my hair, and she does a really, really good job. It's a family unit. I love it.
Harborview Health. Call us today.
Tired of being tired? Lose weight quickly and safely with Ageless Medical Weight Loss. We can help you return to being the best version of yourself. Take the first step toward a healthier, happier you and call Ageless Medical Weight Loss at 859-335-1330.
When my husband was hit head-on, I knew it was time to call 800-55-WILDCAT with the Kentucky Courage Lawyers.
To talk about your case, call 800-55-WILDCAT. Morgan, Collins, Yeast, and Salyer.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of what is a big wet mess so far, but eventually is going to become icy, and it is in some locations. This is our Pepper Rickhouse Distillery District camera. This is exactly how it looked about 6 hours ago, and has looked all morning wet because that rain has just been steady. Now look at this, the Kentucky Mesonet. It shows very clearly that Arctic front that is coming in. You've got temperatures down now below freezing right along the Ohio River, just outside the viewing area into southern Indiana, northern Kentucky at 29 degrees. We're in the low to mid 30s in the Bluegrass, that colder air with that northerly wind coming in. But it's fighting the milder air to the south, so that frontal boundary is gradually sagging south. But you go from 56 in Barberville, it is 62 out in Whitesburg, over to the low 30s, below freezing temperatures as you head off to the west there. So we definitely have a battle as far as the colder air is concerned, and unfortunately that battle is changing over to icing. We've had multiple reports of it up north. That was the current temperature as well as the max track Doppler. You can see where we've got that icing into our northern counties. So you really want to watch out for that if you're driving up towards Cincinnati or say back through Louisville. And we're getting into the low to mid 30s, Lexington at freezing, so you could have some ice mixed in. Road temperatures starting to drop where that Arctic air is seeping in. Look at that. It's in the mid 40s in Louisville or in Harlan, and you're down below freezing up north in Covington. So you're starting to see some of the icy conditions taking over as far as the road conditions are concerned, still showing mainly wet roads here in the Bluegrass and southeast. It's stacked. It's mixed precipitation back over to snow as you head west. So the overall setup has not changed. Our winter storm warning continues out east. They've actually expanded that ice storm warning a little farther into northeastern Kentucky due to that icing threat. Kind of surprised they didn't do that earlier, but here's how it plays out. The future track shows that gradual transition over to mixed precipitation, and it's in that zone from northeast to southwest where you've got that potential to see that mixed precipitation. Mainly freezing rain, but some sleet mixed in at times. The main slug of moisture continues. It's all heavy rain into our southeastern counties. This takes you out through about 4 o'clock. But then it starts to taper off a bit. At the same time, temperatures are crashing, so that Arctic air is rolling in. You've still got enough light freezing drizzle and sleet mixed in with some snow on the back end. May pick up a few tenths of an inch to an inch of snow as a band comes through just to cap it all off. That's why I'm concerned about road conditions overnight, even though if you're following this via social media, we're talking about that slightly later onset time of the ice. We're going to lower those totals a little bit. We're still talking about a quarter to maybe a half an inch of ice, which can cause significant problems out there, primarily travel hazards, concerns, but also the possibility of some power outages. If we put it into categories here, you can see that quarter to a half inch, that's disruptive. The half inch to 3/4 of an inch higher end that we initially had, that's where you can get into more widespread power outages. So just use extra caution on the roadways and really watch out for that potential for icing. If you're going to go out and measure it later on this afternoon, remember, you don't measure the whole thickness of the branch, and that's a good way to find it. You measure the top portion of ice, the bottom portion of ice, add them together and divide them by 2, and that gives you your total ice accumulation. It's not the entire width. You've got to subtract the width of that branch there to get an accurate measurement. We've had quite a bit of rain as well, 1.3 inches of rain. So we've got a flood watch that continues southeast. That's something else that we need to key in on, the potential for localized flooding. The temperature, pick a temperature as far as the forecast high. We've already hit it. We hit it past midnight. Temperatures are going to be dropping through the day. We're around freezing now. We'll crash down to around 20 overnight with that light freezing rain, sleet, and drizzle potential. And the 8-day shows that temperatures are cold. Tomorrow, upper 20s, teens, single digits, Saturday morning, frigid stuff. So if you would happen to lose power, we are going to stay cold for a number of days. Don't really get back to above freezing until late in the weekend, early next week.
All righty, Tom, thanks so very much. 12-17, road conditions are starting to get a little bit more challenging, especially in western Kentucky.
They certainly are. This video from Paducah, where you can see some freezing rain here, and road crews have been out treating the roads there for hours now. Paducah started seeing freezing rain early this morning, some sleet even yesterday. The ice warning extends from far western Kentucky all the way to us here in the Bluegrass, and just north and west of Paducah is where a lot of snow is falling. Here in Lexington, many flights are already canceled. Let's get a look at Bluegrass Airport flight status board for Lexington travelers. I mean, look at that. It is a sea of red, signifying mass cancellations. Almost all departures and arrivals listed are either canceled or delayed. If you have a flight today, be sure to check the status and please avoid the roads when the ice arrives, if at all possible. And a similar scenario can be seen up near Cincy at CVG Airport up in northern Kentucky. That airport dealing with dozens of cancellations today. There are very few on-time flights today. According to their status board, as always, be sure to check the status of your flight before heading to the airport.
All right, let's go outside now live. LEX 18 traffic tracker, courtesy of the city of Lexington. This is Man of War at Nicholasville. As you can see, traffic is moving steadily. The roads are wet. Remember, there are a lot of still road construction projects and closures, so, just be mindful of those as the roads start to deteriorate. We are going to also be keeping an eye on some access to the VA hospital on Leestown Road. Motorists need to use the entrance at the light at Greendale Road at that intersection until further notice. Attorney General Daniel Cameron is encouraging Kentuckians to report suspected price gouging related to this storm. He says Kentucky's price gouging laws are in effect following the governor's emergency declaration that he declared yesterday. Now, his office reports they have activated their online price gouging form to enable Kentuckians to easily report instances of suspected price gouging. Shoppers have been stocking up in preparation for this storm. Many spent yesterday trying to get those last-minute items, and some shoppers say that they purchased more of those comfort foods, the things that just make you feel good and snuggly when you're in the house. Others say they went, though, for the traditional items at meat, milk, eggs, bread, and potatoes. In situations like this, experts suggest stocking up on non-perishable foods and bottled water.
And what we are feeling is part of a major system impacting more than 100 million people up and down the U.S. This is video from Fort Worth, Texas, where, yes, icy conditions there caused some power outages last night. The temperatures continue to drop with more snow heading their way. And we're going to have another look at your icy forecast coming up next.
LEX 18 News at noon continues after this break.
This can't be right.
Trouble with your taxes? Filing your taxes doesn't have to be complicated. With Tax Act, filing is simple. Incoming! Switch to Tax Act and start for free.
Every time I got paid at work, they kept my money for Social Security taxes. So when I had medical problems, I thought I'd get Social Security disability. Wrong. They turned me down. So I called 855-WILDCAT. They got Social Security to pay me.
Today, more and more Kentuckians are being denied. You want an experienced Social Security lawyer. You want Kentucky courage.
Call 800-55-WILDCAT. Morgan, Collins, Yeast, and Salyer.
Today I'm joined by Kirsten Page from West Shore Home to see how West Shore is making window and door replacements more affordable than ever with their low monthly payments.
So, Joe, we know that when folks are looking to do a window replacement project, they're looking for three things: a quality product, a reputable company, and obviously a price that's reasonable for them. We know that there are a lot of folks that don't have thousands of dollars saved up to do a down payment for a home improvement project. So that's why for a limited time, we're offering a low monthly payment plan for folks who would like to get their project started now, but save big at the same time.
Now, Kirsten, when you talk about low monthly payments, what exactly do you mean?
Well, instead of me telling you, why don't I show you? This family was having some serious problems with cold drafts during the winter months. We were able to come in and replace all the windows in the front of their house. And the best part, they were able to take advantage of our low monthly payments and get their entire project for just $99 a month.
Seriously, all that for $99 a month?
Yeah, so let's take a look at another project. So this is what their windows used to look like. This family wanted a quality product and they wanted it done right, which is why they called us. They were able to get all of that while saving big because they had this entire project done for just $99 a month.
Amazing. Now, when a lot of people think about replacing their windows, they think about replacing entry doors and patio doors too. Does the same payment plan apply to those?
It does. So let's take a look at one more project. This family noticed a lot of wear and tear on their door from years of use. We went in and replaced the entire door. They got to pick everything they wanted, the color, the glass package, and even the hardware.
Wow, that project turned out fantastic. Kirsten, thanks so much, folks. You heard Kirsten. Call West Shore Home today, and when you do, take advantage of this great offer. West Shore Home is extending this sale until Sunday. Get your window or door project started for as little as $99 a month. You can completely customize your new windows or door and save big with this limited time offer. Folks, do not delay. Call the window and door experts at West Shore Home now.
This can't be right.
Trouble with your taxes? You know, filing your taxes doesn't have to be complicated. With Tax Act, filing is simple. Incoming! Switch to Tax Act and start for free.
This weekend only, Lexington Overstock Warehouse is opening our doors for our big weekend sale.
President Joe Biden announced on Wednesday night U.S. Special Forces were able to kill ISIS leader Ibrahim Al-Hashemi al-Qurayshi.
Yeah, happened during an overnight counterterrorism mission in northwest Syria. According to Syrian volunteer rescue group the White Helmets, 13 people, including 6 children and 4 women, were killed in the clash. The Pentagon confirmed there were no U.S. casualties. Residents say they heard helicopters, explosions, machine gun fire, and what sounded like drone strikes. The military has carried out at least 2 other missions targeting al-Qaeda leaders in recent months in the area. Defense officials have admitted one of them may have resulted in civilian casualties. This latest mission was the largest U.S. raid in Syria since 2019. President Joe Biden has officially approved the deployment of troops to Eastern Europe. With tensions still high between Russia and Ukraine, the United States will move additional forces to Romania, Poland, and Germany. Secretary John Kirby stressed that these are not permanent moves and that these forces will not fight in Ukraine. These troops are separate from the 8,500 placed on high alert last week to move to support NATO's response force if activated. Quick reminder that you can catch Super Bowl 56 right here on LEX 18. That game is coming up on February 13th, and there will be more Olympics coverage after the game, and then stay tuned for a late edition that night of LEX 18 News. The opening ceremonies are not until tomorrow, but the Beijing Olympics are already underway. You can watch coverage here on LEX 18 starting tonight at 8. The Winter Olympics run through February 20th.
Well, we're keeping a very close eye on that potential for ice later on today. But look at our quad cam setup. We have, well, very little in the way of ice showing up anywhere, anytime. At the present time, I should say, you can see all those different vantage points. Keeneland, downtown Distillery District, our 21C Museum Hotel, all wet. So the gradual changeover to ice will happen as we go through the course of the day. We're going to see the possibility of some light freezing rain and possibly as well some hazardous travel conditions. So just be aware that you could run into that. We're going to have much more coming up in your LEX 18 Storm Tracker forecast as we go throughout the day.
All righty, Tom. Thanks so very much. We thank you so much for joining us today at noon here for LEX 18 News at noon. And remember,
Yeah, LEX 18 News at 12:30 is next, and we do want to let you know that Governor Andy Beshear is getting ready to give an update on the ice storm. We're going to take his news conference live when it happens.
That's right. We'll do it both on air and online. Remember to check out snowky.ky.gov as well as some of the other sites out there from state government, because they will give you more access to what's going on state roads, interstates, and the like before you actually get out on those roads. Don't forget the hacks of putting that onion or the potato on your windshield instead of putting hot water, because you're going to crack it and make a mess. It's just like 2003. We made it through. We'll see you at 12:30.
LEX 18, streaming local news 24/7. Search for LEX 18 on your device.
Missing teeth? Tired of dentures? We can help. Call now to receive custom dental implants. TLC Dentistry offers modern care and the latest technology to help you regain your smile and enjoy your favorite foods again. Call now to schedule your free consultation.
I'm former NBA player Chandler Parsons. My lifelong dream was to play basketball in the NBA. With hard work and lots of luck, my dreams came true. Then, one day, in an instant, I was hit by a drunk driver and my career was over. But just like any other challenge in my life, I prepared and faced it head on. I did extensive research into finding the right law firm. When everything was on the line, I had to choose who would take that final shot for me. I'm Chandler Parsons, and I chose Morgan & Morgan.
Tired of being tired? Lose weight quickly and safely with Ageless Medical Weight Loss. We can help you return to being the best version of yourself. Take the first step toward a healthier, happier you and call Ageless Medical Weight Loss at 859-335-1330.
I had this new vehicle and a drunken driver hit me. My first thought was Kara Steger.
We approach cases from the very first phone call. You get to talk to an attorney. Having an attorney get to know you, to be able to fight for you in your case, makes us a little different. We take pride in the fact that we care.
With Kaufman and Steger, they weren't just a title, they are real people who really authentically care for me.
Spectrum Business is the only internet and phone provider built for the new way you do business. We know fast internet speeds and low prices are critical for small businesses, and slow speeds from the other guys can't handle your new digital needs. Now's the time to switch to Spectrum Business. You'll get more speed and proven reliability, and you'll never have to sign a contract. $49.99 for 200 megabit per second internet and $19.99 for business phone, with no added taxes or hidden fees and no nonsense. So stop overpaying for internet and phone today. You could cut your bill in half when you switch to Spectrum Business, and we'll prove it. Grab your bill, visit spectrum.com/business calculator and see how much you'll save when you switch. Or give us a call and we'll calculate your savings for you. Plus, you'll get fast speeds and over 99.9% network reliability. $49.99 for 200 megabit per second internet and $19.99 for business phone. Call 888-839-9449 today and start saving with Spectrum Business.
Missing teeth? Tired of dentures? We can help. Call now to receive custom dental implants. TLC Dentistry offers modern care and the latest technology to help you regain your smile and enjoy your favorite foods again. Call now to schedule your free consultation.
Count on LEX 18 News.
If this ends up being the size of ice storms we've had in the past and takes down significant power lines, that certainly complicates things. But every single one of our utilities has been preparing for this. We've been through it before, but there are some things Mother Nature throws at you that you have to react to. You can't prevent it.
And we are expecting to hear from the governor any moment now. Major winter storm spreading rain, freezing rain, and heavy snow, and Kentuckians will be feeling its wrath. This is LEX 18 News at 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Goodman.
And I'm Dia Davidson. Meteorologist Tom Ackerman in with us, and the ice storm is moving closer to us. In fact, Fayette Mall, they're closing at 3 o'clock today. Tom, what's the latest in the temperatures in the forecast?
Well, the good news so far, it's all been rain. And yet, as far as those historic ice storms of the past, this one is going to be significant, but not looking to rival situations like that, thank goodness. But the impact could be widespread as far as travel conditions go. And yes, we could end up with a few power outages out of this as well. But so far, it is still just wet in Lexington, although we are down to around freezing. And we're getting reports coming out of Georgetown, parts of Scott County, of some light icing up there. It's been ongoing for a couple of hours up towards Covington, and then back to the west, you can see that mixed precipitation. So it's only a matter of time. This shows the freezing line where temperatures are at freezing at the surface, and it is gradually working its way into our northern counties. So as that continues to progress south, we will eventually change over from the rain that we're seeing to that mixed precipitation, that icy mix. This is a couple of hours of data. You can see the moisture streaming in. It has been absolutely soggy. We've been swamped. We've had over an inch of rain in Lexington in the past 24 hours. But as this pink advances, by mid to late afternoon especially, that's where we're going to see that potential for that icing. So the LEX 18 Storm Tracker Future Track taking you out through the afternoon. Notice how it starts to drop south. And we will be in and out of it a lot through the afternoon. But that ice will start to, accrete on tree branches, raised surfaces, cars that are parked outside. And then tonight, as that colder air comes crashing in, we'll transition from this light mixed precipitation to some sleet and some snow just to cap it off. So you're going to have multiple modes of precipitation that you're going to have to deal with on the roads or on the sidewalks watch if you're trying to walk in it. So just be aware of that. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that transition of rain to ice. It'll be a gradual progression through the afternoon. Then the deep freeze sets in. We'll talk about the potential implications of that and your 8-day forecast here coming up.
All right, Tom, thanks so much. Yesterday, the governor called it an epic storm, declared a state of emergency. Now let's go to Frankfurt and check in with the governor for today's update.
According to the National Weather Service, freezing rain is already ongoing in western Kentucky, and precipitation will transition slowly to freezing rain from northwest to southeast across Kentucky. We'll show you a map in a minute. It's changed a little bit from tomorrow, and what could see some of the ice is now a little further south all the way to Bowling Green, and some parts of the east like Boyd County are no longer in the most concerning band. But the areas that are in that are still expected to get a quarter to a half an inch of ice. Now, this event no longer appears that it will be as severe as some in the past. It's certainly not going to be like what we saw in 2009, but 2009 was one of the worst we have ever seen. It is still very dangerous, and we need people to respond accordingly. Due to the storm starting with rain, roads could not be treated with brine and rock salt as it simply washes away. In other words, the rain and then the ice and then the snow that may come on top of it makes it much more difficult to treat, which means if you are out on the roads when this happens, it will be harder to get to you. And if you are out on the roads and in an accident or just simply out on them, it will take us longer to treat them, to get them in better shape once we are able to get all of our folks out on the road. The National Weather Service said significant ice accumulation is expected between the Ohio River and the West Kentucky and really the Bluegrass parkways. Travel is also going to be impacted Friday morning as temperatures, precipitation, and snow continue to fall. Flooding is also possible in south central and east central Kentucky, and possible river flooding into the weekend, especially the Green River Basin. We fully expect to flood. As a reminder, I've already declared a state of emergency so we could pre-position our assets, especially to help people that might be stranded. We also have signed a price gouging order that prevents people from raising prices and taking advantage of people during this time. Contact the Attorney General's office if you see any gouging. We closed state office buildings today to protect our people, knowing a lot of schools would also close, and to keep folks off the road. Well, tomorrow morning, most likely during the time that people would be going to work, is also going to be very dangerous. So state office buildings will also be closed tomorrow, Friday. Please refer to the Kentucky Personnel Cabinet, given your specific position for what that may mean. Kentucky Emergency Management continues to activate the State Emergency Operations Center, and personnel from the National Guard and the Transportation Cabinet, the Kentucky State Police are all out there working to try to keep us safe. Want to show just a couple of slides, and then I think Director Dossett will go over them again. These are the most updated predictions from the National Weather Service. Can we go to the first one? So as you'll see, the area of most concern in Kentucky, that is the purple area, really runs from the entire purchase area in western Kentucky up through Louisville to Frankfurt to Lexington, and then down to E-Town and just barely into Warren County. The western parts of this are already getting hit. And certainly feeling it. Now, this has changed a little bit from yesterday when the line was a little different and went all the way over to parts of eastern Kentucky. So if you were in that eastern Kentucky part and you're kind of in the bluish, that's a lot of where we think we're going to get the flooding. So you will be facing a different type of emergency, most likely. This is still a significant weather event for all of Kentucky, even if what you are going to get, depending on your region, is a little different. Timing has also changed. I think that most meteorologists would tell you that they expected this front to move quickly, to already be here. Maybe we will learn from this about the whys, but if you look at the next slide, it is moving very slowly into Kentucky and will move very slowly through Kentucky. So Louisville, Frankfort area getting hit with freezing rain by 2 p.m. It's going to be closer to 6 p.m. for the band underneath it, which is kind of just north of E-Town and Lexington, but Lexington's pretty high in that second band. So we expect rush hour to be very difficult there. Hitting by 10 p.m. in places like Bowling Green and a little further south, and then after dark in other parts of Kentucky. Remember, our temperatures are also going to plunge during these periods of time. Tonight, especially moving into tomorrow, it's going to be very cold. That's going to allow for more ice, whether it is on the roads or whether it is around your home. So be careful. Newest predictions on amount of ice, if we can switch to the next one. We originally had some predictions that were almost 3/4 of an inch of ice. They have been somewhat downgraded, but if you get hit with a 1/2 inch of ice, it is very concerning and very serious. So this is the most up-to-date information. If we get this amount, it's going to be a tough couple days. It's certainly less than 09. It's less than what we thought we might get originally, but it's still a very serious, significant weather event. You shouldn't get out on the roads now. I mean, this is enough that it should keep everybody off. And finally, the snow accumulation prediction has been lessened a little bit as well. There were parts of Kentucky where we had 2 inches, 3 inches predicted at one point. That is down. But again, the rain followed by the sleet, followed by the ice, followed by the snow creates a very difficult situation to clean and clear roads quickly, and it will make them more dangerous than if it was just one of these that we're dealing with. I'm now going to turn it over to Director Dossett. He'll be followed by Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray. I have one other update once that's done, and we'll take as many questions as we can get through. Director Dossett.
Thank you, Governor. And as the governor indicated, we have had some better news on conditions. However, listening to all the forecasts and the calls, this is an extraordinarily complex system. And the governor described it well. We started with rain, we'll go to sleet, we'll go to ice, we'll go to snow, and we'll go back to rain again. And this occurs over a 2-day period. So what you saw this morning, and if you can pull up the timing slide again, what we saw this morning is a stalled front, quite frankly, at the top of the state in between the boundary from Indiana to Kentucky. That stayed static for about 3 hours. And even the Weather Service, who we're in constant contact with, they could not determine what the cause was for the storm system to stall out. We have northern winds gusting from 20 to 25 miles an hour, and that assists in pushing the system south. But the bottom line is it's late developing. So that gives us some better outcomes and also some more difficult ones. The better outcomes are we're getting a reduced number of counties that will experience severe icing. As the governor indicated, we're already experiencing icing in our southwest counties. Paducah has seen 1/10 of an inch, and that was just from 30 minutes ago. I will guarantee you that amount is up because they're fully into freezing rain now. We're seeing power outages surge 4,000 plus. And I think you'll see that across the band that you're going to see covered. So the positive is it should be a lesser amount. The negative is it's going to go into the evening and overnight hours, which exacerbates some of the risk for power outages. So in preparation, the governor authorized a state of emergency along with, I believe, 6 or 7 other governors across the country for this front. So we were able to pre-stage, and these teams include the Kentucky State Police, our Tier 1 partner, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, our National Guard, some of our local response folks that will be out doing welfare checks if required. And they're staged at some of the transportation hubs across Kentucky to respond to events as they are required. So the long and the short of it is the same warnings apply. We would ask you not to get on the roads if not extremely necessary. Please give us a day to interact with the weather conditions. It's still going to be rough on Friday, but give us a day for the Transportation Cabinet to do the fine work that they do across the state. We're looking at a snow event after the icing. In some ways that helps, but it's still an ongoing weather event. We have about 26 warming stations across the state that are in standby. We have one that's open now, but that poses no immediate threat. And I think Secretary Gray will talk a little bit about some of the road temperatures, and that's the reason why we're experiencing a delay. Again, in the central part of the state, you're going to see the freezing start at about 2 p.m., and it will extend well after dark into the late evening hours. Don't let your guard down. Whether this is a reduced amount of icing, any icing is bad. We have our power cooperatives and our private sector vendors in the EOC as we speak. They're watching this by the hour, and they've staged company assets for mutual aid, and they're ready to respond. But any icing is bad icing. So this can still be an extreme event, and it can still turn into a life-threatening event. Secretary?
All right. Well, thanks, Mr. Director, and thanks too for the really extraordinary partnership that we have with Kentucky Emergency Management. The governor has said it well already. So has the director, that this is still a challenging and dangerous system. It's moving from west to east with a lot of volatility. The National Weather Service continues to predict, and this is in terms of travel conditions, continues to predict that travel conditions will become difficult to impossible across many parts of Kentucky throughout the day and into Friday. A few cautions to punctuate and reiterate what the governor has already said. We urge everyone to travel, keep travel to a minimum, or forego travel altogether. I want to thank the traveling public now for already having implemented many of these. They have limited their travel already, and we want to thank them because that allows our vehicles, our emergency vehicles, our transportation, our snow plows, and our salt trucks to actually do their work. So thank you. We want to caution and suggest to be alert for changing weather conditions as temperatures fall. That's what the director was just mentioning. Freezing rain is hard to detect with the eye. It may look like ordinary rain, but when temperatures and pavement temperatures drop low enough, the rain freezes and accumulates on the surface. So be prepared as this storm advances for the possibility of downed trees and power lines under the weight of accumulated ice. It can happen quickly. I'm going to tell you where it's already happening in just a minute. And remember, too, that bridges freeze before pavement. There's also the possibility of local flooding, as the governor and the director have already mentioned. Now, warnings and advisories. Ice storm warning area, the governor's already talked about this. In fact, I'm not going to reiterate all of that because you all have covered it well. But let me tell you about the transportation cabinet activities for a minute. Our snow and ice control activities. There are crews all across the state, our highway districts from west to east throughout the state that took advantage of a gap between storms to restock salt and other materials and get their equipment ready. And more than upwards of 1,500 pieces of equipment are today active in this work. Upwards of 2,000 employees in the Department of Highways activated. Our crews and our contractors will do everything that can be done to make roadways passable. But this is the third time I've said that. The best advice remains for the public to please stay off the roadways. Now I'm going to give a quick report on Western Kentucky, the transportation districts. Far Western Kentucky, District 1, based in Paducah. What's occurred last night was a closing of US 45, the Ohio River Bridge to Brookport, Illinois, because of icing. Reports now are of trees and limbs down in these counties: Caldwell, Christian, Hopkins, and Webster. Lyon, just recently, we just got this report. Lyon, Marshall, Callaway, and Trigg. In District 4, Breckenridge, the Hardinsburg area, and also trees are down, and there is icing reported in Oldham. Now, about salting, where conditions permit, our crews have begun putting down salt, of course, but that means where pavement temperatures are certain to drop below freezing, but are not yet too low for salt to be effective. So there is that zone, and it can be challenging, but we are placing it. And the purpose of this is to try to move that icing condition into a slushing condition to prevent the hard bonding of freezing rain to the pavement. Okay, I want to close with this. The screen has it up here, but for current conditions, for current transportation conditions, that is travel resources, traffic conditions, priority routes, and winter safety tips, go to snowky.ky.gov. Governor, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you, sir.
I think you have my notes too.
I did. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't think I did. Maybe.
No, Michael Dawson has my notes.
Director?
Just one second.
Governor, this is not the first time I've done this.
It is not. It is not. All right. With Western Kentucky already getting hit again, I just want to provide one piece of what I hope folks find as good news. To our uninsured homeowners and uninsured renters that were harmed by the December 10th tornadoes, the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund has now issued payments that add 20% on top of FEMA awards. So 425 uninsured homeowners are receiving collectively $1,223,985.14. Those payments have been sent. And then 693 uninsured renters are receiving collectively $559,550.34. Altogether, it's a little over $2.5 million that's been paid out of the fund thus far, and we will have more news on how those dollars are going to help rebuilding efforts here in the coming weeks. All right, so we'll open it up to questions. We'll start with Carolina.
Governor, as far as power goes, is Kentucky's infrastructure stable enough to ensure that when power goes out, we can restore it quickly? And then also, is there any consideration to possibly close major roads, possibly interstates, to avoid a situation that we had last month?
So right now, there is no plan to close interstates. I will say the latest predictions from the National Weather Service suggest I-64 is going to get, in particular, pretty bad tonight. As far as our power, we still have a lot of above ground power lines, and how many will lose power may depend on loss of trees throughout these neighborhoods, and also how much ice we get. Meaning how much it will weigh it down. We already have about 4,000 people that have lost power. We are going to have more that lose power. With that said, we don't at this moment believe that it'll rise to the 2009 levels where people were out of power for significant periods of time. But it remains to be seen. And every time we think we know exactly how many people will lose power based on an event, we're taught that Mother Nature has its own mind. Karen.
In years past, we've been able to rely on other states to help if we have a lot of downtimes. Clearly, so many states are being hit. How is that going to affect us? And then one more, in Western Kentucky, is this going to hamper getting more trailers set up this week?
So there's two questions here. Can we expect help from other states? It'll depend on the amount of damage we get. Other places are getting hit by huge amounts of snow. So we will see if our number of especially people without power gets very large. I think we can expect to have additional help. But this is, one country. As we face events like this, we know that most of the resources will go to where they are most needed. We are on the edge, but certainly the ice and the flooding can be significant here. Will it slow down getting some people into travel trailers? We have a lot of our transportation cabinet out being prepared to treat these roads and keep people safe. It may delay by a couple of days, but we are still pushing forward with both staging them and really the process of going through to place a family in them takes just as long as actually staging. We're now reaching into some separate categories, down from just people with school-age children. Next category is people with young children that might not be in school, and then we'll get families with seniors, and after that, we will reach people who need to be closer because of their jobs. So those are the categories that we're moving through. Chelsea.
What plans are in place for people who are, their power goes out and they have nowhere else to go? And then my other question is, what advice do you have for people who do have power outages and it's hard to access places, perhaps they live up a cliff?
So we have, I think, 26 warming stations that are prepared to be activated. One has been activated. I believe that's in Nelson County. And we'll have others if necessary. We'll get those words out in the community, and the local emergency management is doing that so people have a place to come. People need to charge their phones, especially if they're living in difficult areas in case they need to call for help. Certainly, we've activated the National Guard. The state police is ready, transportation cabinet to help those that may need a rescue. When we have weather events, oftentimes flooding, but also major snowstorms and power outages, these are routine rescues that are done. When I was in Ashland, beginning of last year, for an ice storm, beginning of last year, for an ice storm. A number of the people there had to be brought by the National Guard. So make sure to charge those phones, and also make sure to check in on your neighbors, especially the ones that might be more remote. You should do things to try to weatherize your house if you lose power, right? Put things up against the door, look at your windows, do everything you can to try to keep the heat in. Don't open that door, right? Because the amount of heat you will lose, you cannot get back. And I know our utilities will be doing their best to communicate in real time to people what they're looking at. Bodie.
Governor, there's been pictures all over social media of grocery store shelves being absolutely raided. Of course, it's a good thing people are getting stocked up and ready for this storm. And given what you all have shared today, that the forecast is not quite as strong as it was yesterday, what should folks really be preparing for, and when can we quote-unquote expect?
So the weather event itself is going to go through Friday morning, but it may take longer on Friday and will take longer to get the roads cleared and ready for use. But we hope, and we have some caution because of where temperatures are going to go, but we hope we're looking at days here and not weeks. Now, part of that will depend on what type of power lines may or may not go down for individuals, but people just need to be at the moment prepared for a couple days. And if in their region it's tougher than that, we'll need to be in contact, get them to one of those warming stations and get them extra help. But I don't think there's a need to make a run on a week or 2 weeks worth of food. Getting through a couple days, we'll probably do it. Debbie Yetter, Courier-Journal.
Hi, Governor. I wondered if you had any. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello? Okay.
I can hear you, Debbie.
Do you have any updated information on COVID today? And does it look like cases are continuing to decline?
Yeah, cases are continuing to decline. I really think it'll be next week, when we have all of next week's data, that we'll start to see how rapidly it's declining. I believe overall for the state, we crested last week or really the week before going into it, but some parts of the state are just cresting now, and I think just about everybody will be on the downturn. We'll be declining in cases. And once that starts, once each of our areas is crested, I think the pace of our cases going down will increase. But every day we're having a little bit less. Now that could be 400 or 500 cases less, and that's a whole lot if we go back in time. And our positivity rate continues to fall, though it is ticking down. It's not going down by 2 or 3 percentage points each day. I will say on the flip side, the pace of vaccinations is also declining. But when you look at all those things together, it does suggest that we are in a downward trend. That's a good thing. We just want it to go down a whole lot faster. Tom Latek.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon to you. I've got two. One's real quick, and the other is maybe a little more thought-provoking. First of all, how many Kentucky Guard members do we have deployed? And secondly, you may remember in the Jones administration, they closed state government because of a bad winter storm, and a number of state employees who were on vacation sued so they could get their vacation days back. Will the folks who are on vacation this week get their days back?
They need to be in touch with the personnel cabinet. I know about that event during the Jones administration. I believe that we have changed our policies to address it and how the personnel cabinet operates, but I'd want to get the official process from them. I do believe when we close offices, it has been adjusted how we handle it since that time. And then the other piece was... Now, we'll get you the number of National Guard members. I mean, certainly between hospitals and this, it's a very large number generally that's out there. But they're pre-positioned right now and 5 or 6 set locations, but certainly ready to be amplified. And the way we position them is with transportation and their heavy machinery, with KSP, and with the Guard, to the point where if we had a bad accident and ultimately really backed up, say on the interstate, that we could get 2 people. A lot of what the Guard is prepared to do is help stranded motorists, and then we'll transition to wellness checks and other parts of the mission of the Guard. Austin Horn.
Thank you, Governor. I'm curious, do you have a rough sense of how many total outages we can expect in the state? And I'm also wondering if you can speak to whether or not this whole back-to-back-to-back storm pattern has been draining on you guys and the emergency management staff and, everybody that's had to deal with it.
So that leads into another question I had. How rare is it to be in this situation where 4 states of emergency have been declared in 2 months? We don't think it's ever happened before. And certainly what we faced in 2 years with the pandemic and all of this has never happened before. But we are seeing more weather events in a short period of time than any of us can recall. And I think Michael Dossett has been with emergency management since its founding. Yeah. Okay, for the last 30 years. All right. Well, he's retiring. We got to give him a little grief as he goes. But it's unprecedented. And then the nature of them, having some of the most severe, also unprecedented. It takes a toll on you emotionally, but it hits everybody, right? So our job is just to come in and to push through and to do our very best. We can't get tired, whether it's in the governor's office or emergency management, state police, National Guard, transportation cabinet, because if we get tired, other people get tired. We have a job to do, and no matter how many days we got to show up, we're going to do it. Now, that's easy for me to say. Our folks that are out there doing the work deserve the praise for pushing through and showing a great example of resiliency. Was there one other part of that question? Okay. If there was, Austin, shoot it to us, and we'll get back to you with it. Gil McClanahan. Oh, no, the other question hold on, Gil, was do we have an estimate on how many people will lose power? No, it really depends. If some of the bigger systems have issues, the National Weather Service couldn't make a prediction at all on exactly what we'll see. What we can do is give periodic updates on where we are and how many people are without. Remember, some places are going to get hit tonight, even after dark. So it could change drastically at different periods of time. Okay, Gil McClanahan with our last question.
All right, thank you, Governor. Good to be with you this afternoon. I wanted to make sure that I understood you correctly. Earlier, when you started this briefing, were you saying that the ice event probably will not be as severe in eastern Kentucky versus western Kentucky, and that here in eastern Kentucky, flooding will be the issue? And with all of that being said, what sort of resources have you sent to this part of the state?
Yeah, so we're working with Eastern Kentucky both to set up warming centers. We have some of our National Guard, Kentucky State Police, transportation, pre-staged assets in Eastern Kentucky, working with emergency management folks. They're ready to treat the roads, especially the most traveled roads in Eastern Kentucky through the Transportation Cabinet. Let's bring up the very first slide, James, and that'll show you. So there was a change since yesterday. That dark purple area, which is the most concerning for ice, used to run all the way over to Ashland in a diagonal line, and then kind of everything north of it. Now, it does not appear that part of Eastern Kentucky, or really southeastern Kentucky, is predicted to get hit as hard with ice. It can still get ice, and it can get snow, and it can get nasty. But the area of the worst prediction is of course that dark purple area. Now, we do believe that there is going to be some ice. We do believe there's going to be some snow, and then there's a whole lot of precipitation, especially in the southeast, where we would anticipate flooding. So what I would say is in eastern Kentucky, with roads that can be at times more treacherous than other regions, you are still facing a severe weather event. Stay off the roads if you can. I wouldn't take a lot of solace in the fact that this map has changed because you know how flooding hits your region, and we expect to see it. All right. With that, we will continue to provide updates. Right now, we anticipate we'll do that by releases and on social media. For media members, feel free to continue sending your questions. We'll let you know if we need to schedule another live update. Likely to have one sometime late tomorrow morning, early tomorrow afternoon, but we'll let you know. Thank you all very much.
And you have been watching Governor Beshear live in Frankfort, updating everybody on this nasty winter weather moving through the state today.
Indeed, and we want to remind you that the QR code that you see on your screen, please do scan it with your smartphone or tablet, and that will get you connected to our LEX 18 Storm Tracker weather app as well as the news app. It is a free download. It'll keep you connected and up to date. Also, want to remind you to join us for LEX 18 News at 4 and extended coverage at 4:30 this afternoon as we continue to cover this ice storm 2022. Everybody have a safe and warm afternoon.